Bruce Willis wasn't just another movie star who happened to land a few big roles at the right time. He was a shift in how audiences understood heroism. Long before superheroes dominated the screen, Bruce made us believe that courage could look tired, bloody, scared, and still determined. From Die Hard to Pulp Fiction, from Armageddon to The Sixth Sense, he played men who weren't invincible but who refused to quit. That refusal became his signature. Yet behind the explosions, one-liners, and box office success was a deeply human story marked by struggle, persistence, love, and ultimately, vulnerability. Today, as his time in front of the camera comes to a close, the legacy he leaves behind is not just cinematic, it's personal, emotional, and enduring. A childhood shaped by instability, Bruce Willis was born on March 19, 1955 in Idar Oberstein, West Germany, into a world still recovering from the scars of war. His father was an American soldier, his mother a German woman doing her best to rebuild a life amid uncertainty. From the very beginning, stability was fragile. When Bruce was only 2 years old, the family moved to the United States, settling in Carneys Point, New Jersey. The American dream they hoped for didn't arrive easily. Their home was small, money was always tight, and tension filled the air. Factory smoke hung over the town, and arguments echoed through the walls of their house. Eventually, Bruce's father left the family, and that moment forced the oldest child to grow up far too quickly. Growing up too fast. As the eldest of 4 children, Bruce quietly took on responsibilities that didn't belong to a child. He learned how to read the room, how to shield his younger siblings from conflict, and how to stay strong when things felt like they might fall apart at any moment. There was no room for self-pity. Survival demanded resilience. But while he learned how to protect others, Bruce struggled deeply with something that made him feel powerless. He had a severe stutter, and speaking became a daily source of fear. Each sentence felt like an obstacle course, each conversation a risk. The frustration and embarrassment left him withdrawn, and the silence that followed became a defining part of his early life. Finding his voice in an unexpected place. Everything changed when Bruce was 17 years old and stepped onto a stage at his high school. Something extraordinary happened under those lights. His stutter vanished. The words flowed freely, effortlessly. The fear dissolved. For the first time in his life, he felt heard, confident, alive. Acting didn't just give him a hobby, it gave him freedom. It allowed him to express what he had kept buried for years. The stage became a place of control and safety, where his voice belonged to him. That moment didn't just spark a career, it reshaped his identity. From then on, Bruce knew that whatever life threw at him, this was something he would never give up. Leaving home with almost nothing. In 1973, Bruce Willis left New Jersey with little more than a suitcase, a sandwich, and belief. New York City didn't greet him kindly. It was cold, loud, and unforgiving. He briefly studied drama but quickly realized survival couldn't wait for formal education. He dropped out and worked any job he could find: factory shifts, security work, driving, and eventually bartending. Winters were brutal, apartments barely livable, meals inconsistent. There were days when hope felt thin, but every night behind the bar, Bruce was learning. He watched people, listened to their stories, studied timing, humor, and presence. Without realizing it, he was training for a career built on connection. The bartender who never stopped performing behind the bar, Bruce developed a persona that felt larger than life. He cracked jokes, entertained crowds, played harmonica, and commanded attention without demanding it. This wasn't ego, it was survival. The bar became his unofficial stage. Every interaction sharpened his instincts. He learned how to hold a room, how to recover when a moment fell flat, how to turn awkwardness into charm. While auditions during the day often ended in rejection, the bar gave him immediate feedback. Those long nights became practice for something bigger, even if he didn't yet know what that something was. Years of rejection and quiet persistence. Audition after audition came and went with little reward. Casting directors barely looked up. Rejection became routine, but Bruce didn't internalize it as failure. He treated it as part of the process. He learned patience, resilience, and timing. He didn't try to force his way into rooms that weren't ready for him. He waited, improved, and stayed present. That patience would become one of his greatest strengths. The role that changed everything. In 1985, Bruce auditioned for a television show called Moonlighting. He wasn't the polished, predictable choice producers had in mind, but when he walked into the room, something shifted. His energy was sharp, unpredictable, alive. He didn't just read the lines, he reshaped the character. Moonlighting became a hit, and almost overnight, Bruce Willis went from struggling actor to household name. His fast-talking charm and natural chemistry captivated audiences, and television suddenly had a leading man who felt real. Becoming an unlikely action star success on television opened the door to film, but nothing guaranteed what came next. When Bruce was cast in Die Hard, skepticism was everywhere. He didn't fit the traditional image of an action hero. He wasn't massive or intimidating. Even the studio doubted the decision. But Bruce approached the role differently. He played the character as human, flawed, exhausted, and scared. That realism changed action movies forever. Die Hard became a massive success, earning over $140 million and redefining what audiences expected from heroes on screen. From actor to cultural icon after Die Hard, Bruce Willis wasn't just famous, he was influential. He showed that heroes didn't need to be perfect to be powerful. His characters got hurt, complained, laughed, and kept going anyway. That relatability turned him into something more than a star. He became a symbol of endurance. Studios took notice, and his career entered a new phase, one marked by creative freedom and financial success. Building a legendary career. Throughout the 1990s, Bruce delivered one iconic performance after another. Pulp Fiction reminded the world of his depth. The Fifth Element showcased his versatility. Armageddon cemented his blockbuster status. 12 Monkeys proved he wasn't afraid of challenging roles. At his peak, he was among the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, commanding millions per film and shaping projects around his presence. A career-defining financial decision. One of the smartest moves Bruce ever made came with The Sixth Sense. Instead of taking a massive upfront salary, he chose a smaller paycheck paired with a percentage of the film's profits. When the movie became a global phenomenon, earning over $670 million worldwide, that decision paid off in an extraordinary way. It wasn't just luck. It was confidence, foresight, and trust in the story. That single role became one of the most financially successful decisions of his career, expanding wealth beyond Hollywood. As his earnings grew, Bruce began investing outside of acting. He purchased properties in Idaho, New York, and other locations that offered privacy and peace. These investments weren't about extravagance, they were about stability. After a childhood defined by uncertainty, Bruce valued having places that felt safe and grounded. His fortune continued to grow, eventually reaching an estimated $250 million, but wealth never replaced his desire for connection. Love, family, and fatherhood. In the late 1980s, Bruce met Demi Moore, and their connection was immediate. Together, they became one of Hollywood's most recognizable couples. They built a family and welcomed 3 daughters. For Bruce, fatherhood wasn't secondary to his career, it was central to who he was. He often said that being a dad was his most important role. Despite his demanding schedule, his love for his children remained constant and deeply felt. When success strains what matters most, as both Bruce and Demi's careers accelerated, time became scarce. Long shoots, promotions, and constant travel created distance that no amount of love could completely bridge. When their marriage ended in 2000, it wasn't marked by public conflict or bitterness, it was marked by sadness and reflection. Bruce later shared that the hardest part wasn't losing the marriage, but losing the everyday sounds of family life. Still, both parents chose cooperation and respect, prioritizing their children above everything else. Choosing grace over conflict. What followed their separation was something rare in Hollywood. Bruce and Demi remained close, co-parenting with unity and mutual respect. Holidays, birthdays, and milestones were shared. They proved that love doesn't always disappear when relationships change. Sometimes it simply takes a different shape. That choice created a stable environment for their daughters and reflected Bruce's commitment to family above ego. The hidden cost of fame. Despite immense success, Bruce often reflected on what fame took from him. Time was the greatest loss, missed moments, long absences, and the quiet loneliness that followed hotel rooms and sets. He once admitted that wealth couldn't replace presence. Fame gave him everything he worked for, but it also demanded sacrifices that no one talks about until it's too late. Subtle changes no one wanted to see. By the late 2000s and 10s, subtle changes began to appear. Scripts became shorter, roles were adjusted. There were moments of confusion that didn't quite make sense. At first, it was easy to blame exhaustion or age, but those closest to him noticed something deeper. His familiar spark was still there, but quieter, as if something was pulling him inward. The diagnosis that changed everything. In March 2022, Bruce's family shared that he had been diagnosed with aphasia, a condition affecting language and communication, and that he would step away from acting. The news was devastating. For a man whose voice had defined decades of cinema, losing language felt profoundly unfair. In 2023, the diagnosis was clarified as frontotemporal dementia, a progressive neurological condition. The family responded with honesty, unity, and grace. Love becomes the center. Emma Hemming Willis, Bruce's wife, stepped into the role of advocate and caregiver with extraordinary strength. Alongside Demi Moore and their daughters, she surrounded him with consistency, love, and presence. They focused on what remained rather than what was lost. Music, laughter, touch, and shared moments became the new language of connection. Redefining strength. Once more, Bruce Willis had spent a lifetime showing audiences what strength looked like. Now he was teaching a quieter lesson. Strength isn't only about fighting. Sometimes it's about accepting care. Sometimes it's about resting. Even as words faded, his presence remained powerful. He was still there, still loved, still valued. A legacy beyond money. Bruce Willis leaves behind an estimated fortune of $250 million, but his true legacy isn't financial, it's emotional. It's the way he changed cinema, the way he valued family, the way he faced aging and illness with dignity. He supported charitable causes, particularly those helping children and veterans, understanding that success carries responsibility. The role that mattered most above all else, Bruce Willis will be remembered as a devoted father, a loving partner, and a man who never forgot where he came from. He played heroes on screen, but the quiet courage he showed in real life is what defines him most clearly. The enduring reminder. He leaves behind. Bruce Willis's story reminds us that success isn't measured by fame or wealth alone. It's measured by resilience, kindness, and the relationships we protect. He lived fully, imperfectly, and honestly. And long after the screen fades to black, that legacy will continue to matter.